Hello and welcome to CoConnection. We're here to talk about our journey of our internal blocks and overcoming trauma.
This is a very raw and honest video about our stories and how we've overcome our trauma and how it's led to the creation of CoConnection.
So get ready for a very intimate and raw video. For me, my journey is one of trauma, listening to my internal body signals, and eventually understanding them. My story begins as far back as I can remember. When I was 10, I can remember cracking my skull in 3 places. Then when I was 12, I can remember getting mauled by a dog. And that kind of started a pattern where every 6 months, from 12 to 17, I broke a different bone. So I went on to break my collarbone, my wrist 3 times, my foot, I cracked my sternum, my tailbone. I broke my nose, and I started to get really obsessive with feeling normal again, imagining what it'd be like just to be able to do what you want and having all your body parts functioning as best. At that stage, I was wanting to be an Australian rules footballer. I wanted to be a professional athlete, and I was playing in Ireland for that. And when I didn't make it, I put all my time and effort into that every day. I dropped out of university for it, I'd done so many things. When I didn't make it, my whole world just crashed. Everything that was in my laptop, all the books I had, everything I was talking about was just this. And when I didn't make it, my world just crashed down, and the whole idea of life just totally changed. And I can remember it right now, just totally questioning why I was here, totally questioning what it was all about. Like, I felt like I was always a fighter, but at that stage I felt like I was kind of wanting to really be in victim mode. I felt like I was like, why me? Why do I have to have all these health problems? And when I didn't make it, I felt like it's just a massive crush on who I wanted to be. And this manifested in a rectal prolapse, or a medium grade rectal prolapse. My colon lost its structure and started to become inflamed, and then my rectum started to push out and started to bleed. Every few days it started to bleed. I wasn't able to digest food properly. I'd have to take medication for that. I was on medication for anxiety from that. I was having so many problems, and when I went to a urologist and neurologists, they had scans to show me how big a problem it was, but they said that only 80 or 90-year-old people actually have this type of problem. And for me, there was no surgery for this, and obviously drugs did not work, so they had no solution. If it's not drugs, if it's not surgery, it doesn't work. At its peak, I had developed huge depression. I felt just totally ashamed of myself. Although I didn't realize it fully, I just didn't want to know. My digestive system started to work in a very weird way, where I'd be constipated for 2 to 3 days and only go to the toilet every 3rd or 4th day. I'd only sleep 2 to 3 hours a night. I started to seclude myself from socialization. I started to shut off my friends. I didn't talk to my parents. I started to fall out completely with a lot of people in my life. I started to just question everybody. I started to become more obsessive than ever about the body. Eventually, I discovered a technique called PDTR, which is a type of functional neurology where you actually change how the brain interprets pain in the nervous system. This changed my life because the first treatment I had of this was in London with the founder, Dr. Jose Palomar, and after the treatment, my prolapse had improved around 40%, and this is the first time in 3 years my prolapse had any difference or improved at all. I found a way to take back more control of my life. Then I decided to enroll in the course, and fast forward 2 years later, my prolapse had recovered 100%, which was medically impossible, and when I got another scan, the doctors were actually amazed by how something like that could solve it. And then I really understood what the limitations of the medical system are. Through PDTR, I found how everything that I had studied linked together. So my psychology, my injuries, and my total belief that I needed to be a professional athlete, a combination of all these things manifested in my prolapse. I started to see how emotions operate within the body and the nervous system. I started to see what the difference between thoughts and emotions were. I started to see how much the brain controls, and I started to realize that the real universe that we need to study is the internal universe. My own internal blocks and my journey inspired me to teach other people about it. I went on to become a therapist, a personal trainer, and an online coach. This manifested then in starting CoConnection. CoConnection was built from the best methods that I've seen out there, and my belief that your internal reflects your external is the first line in the description of CoConnection.
My story is one of acceptance, validation and sympathy. And this was with me from a very young age, and it developed mostly when I was mocked because I was small and because I had stuff wrong with my hair, different things like this. And I used to isolate myself a lot and wait for sympathy to come. Sympathy from my family, sympathy from my siblings, just to make me feel better. I would always feel that it was something that would just blow over and I would get the sympathy needed to make me feel good again. And this pattern followed on to secondary school, where I would fit into different groups and would have a different set of friends every week. I wouldn't accept not being friends with somebody. I would completely change my character for a different group just to fit in and just to feel accepted. Acceptance was a huge thing for me. I felt that I had to be accepted to feel love. Acceptance basically shaped who I was. Everything I did based on other people's beliefs. Everything I focused on, all my interests, all my hobbies, everything was based off acceptance. And the only thing that stayed consistent for me was sport, where it would be something that I would absolutely love, and that's where I was really myself. I was never myself in a group mentality, and when I wasn't with the group, I was doing activities that would contribute to me getting more acceptance. That greatly affected my own growth, and it was a huge internal block for me that I didn't even recognize. And it followed on the whole way to college as well, where I even went further down the rabbit hole because I would adopt an I know mentality a lot. If we were having a discussion about something, instead of saying that I didn't know, or instead of admitting I was wrong, or that I didn't actually know anything about the subject, I would just say that I knew about it. I would always be tiptoed around because I had a massive ego about being right, because that being right mentality strengthened my acceptance. That's how I thought to get acceptance, because from a young age I was mocked for being small, for something I couldn't control. I decided to focus on something I could control, which was being right all the time. I would never allow myself to be an idiot. I would never allow myself to be vulnerable. I would always adopt this mentality where, oh, I know about that, even if it's something that I didn't have a clue about, I'd still pretend that I knew. And this hugely affected me throughout college, especially with very close friends, with girls, with everything like that. I would say and lie about who I really was just to get acceptance. I call it a little coward mentality. I think I was always running away from myself, and if anything bad ever happened to me, I would always blame other people. I would always blame the external and would wait for it to blow over rather than look for a reason why and actually focus on what I really believed. I also avoided bad feelings a lot. I would always be happy-go-lucky type of person. I would focus on just the positive things. I would adopt a positive attitude. The people around me that were upset or weren't as high in energy, I would try to bring them up because I felt that everybody has to be positive. I interpreted sadness, anger, frustration, worry, shame, different aspects like this. I interpreted them as bad feelings that I didn't want to feel. So I would avoid them by forcing a positive mindset. But of course, this is completely unrealistic to always expect feelings to be good. Anytime I did have bad feelings, I would always look for sympathy and validation, and I would be fearful that I wouldn't get them, so I would be crushed as a person. At the very later stages of college, I went to America for 4 months, and it was hugely liberating for me, especially when I went traveling on my own for the first time. I had to be very courageous instead of going out of fear and a victim mentality that I always adopted when I was in college, secondary school, of acceptance and validation and sympathy. I started to find out what I really liked, what I really believed in, because a lot of my behaviour was very automatic before that, and I started to actually realise I was making my own decisions, I was making my own choices and working off my own beliefs rather than a set of other people's beliefs. That greatly helped my independence of what I really love to do. However, when I returned from America, I was very strong as a person individually. However, I wasn't grounded in my own beliefs. I would still cling to groups, just doing what they would do, focusing on what they love to do and just adopting those beliefs, so I wasn't grounded in my thinking. It's like I forgot everything that I learned when I was on my own, when I came back to a group setting. I started to be curious and stop blaming the external through CoConnection methods of radical honesty, ReWilding and ReChilding and social game. They helped me see that it's not the external. You have to look at yourself first and then judge the external. So instead of adopting a mentality of, oh, poor me, all these things have happened to me, I'm not getting this attention, I'm not getting that attention, people aren't being honest with me, I started to look internally. I started to see that it's not actually the people around me, it was me. Because when I was in a group mentality and changing my character around, I had lost who I was, and I started to ask myself questions of, who are you really? I went through a massive dropping of all the people around me and started to just focus on myself. It helped me to become conscious and learn information for myself, not just for other people to get validation from them. When we were in the car, every single day I was getting smashed. My ego was getting smashed from radical honesty, from actually looking into my past and being questioned. I hated it. But it was actually the best thing to ever happen to me, because being questioned about myself made me feel vulnerable, and I seen that feeling bad and feeling shamed and feeling worried and feeling sadness, which I had never felt before, is actually a good thing. It was opportunity for me, it wasn't suffering anymore. I wasn't looking for sympathy, I was looking at it as, this is an opportunity for me to grow. That just strengthened the passions that I have, everything that I do, and it's hugely changed me. I don't have to play the victim, I don't have to act out of fear, I can act out of courage. and I can see every obstacle that I face and every challenge as an opportunity. That's a huge benefit of CoConnection, and the CoConnection lifestyle allows you to be completely transparent and feel the internal blocks and actually search for them and not avoid them, and can be completely open and honest, be the person who you truly are. I uncovered all the layers of what I was, and I'm still uncovering them every day, and it's just strengthening my full external expression more and more. So that's my story.
So to conclude this video, we want you to be inspired to overcome your internal blocks.
We have developed CoConnection in a way that makes you aware of your internal blocks and steps to combat them.